Hello everyone, thank you so much for clicking on today's video and welcome to my channel. In today's story, OP reaches out to Reddit because, let's be honest, she's in an extraordinarily dysfunctional family and her parents and sister are incredibly entitled. I'll say it off the bat, she is not the a-hole. Luckily, things do end on a happier note and she does stand her ground, so stay tuned for the update to find out. If you do like the story, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a thumbs up. And before we move on to the story, I just wanted to take a second and thank all of my subscribers. Thank you so much, you guys are so wonderful. You really keep me going. For those that are new here, if you like my content and would like to support me, I would really appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button. Anyways, thank you so much for your time and on to the story. Am I the a-hole for not helping my disabled sister with college? I, a 24-year-old female, have 4 siblings. Max, who's a 31-year-old male. Lisa, who's a 20-year-old female. Chris, another 20-year-old male. And Emily, an 18-year-old female. Emily is disabled, and because of that, my parents dedicated themselves 100% to her, leaving the rest of us to fend for ourselves. When Max left for college, I became the main caregiver for my siblings and all of the household chores were my responsibilities. I want to make it clear that Emily's disability does not stop her from functioning like any other person, and she doesn't require any assistance or supervision or 24/7 care. However, my parents have always spoiled her rotten, and she's very rude, mean, and entitled. My parents raised her with the mentality that her disability means that she's allowed to do whatever, and everyone needs to bend backwards for her. My grandparents passed away 3 years ago, and I inherited everything, which is approximately $6 million. They were well off, I know. The reason that I received all of this is because when my grandparents were sick, Max contacted them after almost 10 years of silence because he wanted to know how much he will receive. I'm no contact with him, by the way. They were very aware of how my mom treated me and my siblings, and she was disowned. They were very religious, and Lisa came out as bisexual at 14 and Chris came out as gay at 17. I went no contact with my parents after I moved for college, and when Lisa and Chris started college, I offered to cover all of their living expenses and educational expenses as long as they did well in school. They gladly accepted. I also helped my best friend, Lola, who's a 21-year-old female, start her own business. I haven't spoken to my parents in 6 years. I haven't blocked them, they just never called or texted. This year, Emily started college and she burned out all of her college fund in less than 4 months because she's a spoiled brat and bags were more important than rent. In addition, she's doing horrible in school because she isn't even attending her classes, and she'll most likely be expelled or held back. My mom called me 2 weeks ago to not ask but demand that I do for her the same that I did for Lisa and Chris. I said no because growing up I was literally a slave for her and my parents. I'm helping Lisa and Chris because they are the only ones that treat me as family. I ended the call by telling her that for 18 years Emily was their only kid, so now they have no right to demand anything from the kids that they practically abandoned. Now everyone is calling me out, except for Lisa and Chris, because 1, I'm causing unnecessary drama, 2, I'm causing a rift between Emily and her parents, 3, Emily will be the only one without a degree, 4, it's not really my money and my grandparents would want me to help her, then why didn't they leave anything for her? 5, family is family and I should help my little sister. I don't buy into that rhetoric. 6, it's not her fault that my parents were bad parents to me. True, but she doesn't do anything to change her behavior. And lastly, She's disabled and it's not okay to discriminate. What the F? I feel like I'm doing the right thing, but everyone is telling me that I'm not. So, am I the a-hole? I received a lot of messages with questions and a few asked in the comments about my sister's disability, so I'm going to answer some questions. What disability does she have? I don't know. My parents never told me, and when anyone asked, they would get very defensive. Can't Emily get governmental assistance? No, because she doesn't have documentation that attests that she is disabled. I remember my parents fighting about taking my sister to different doctors because they all refused to sign that she was disabled. Why doesn't the rest of my family pay for her? Because they are living paycheck to paycheck because they would spend thousands on buying Emily whatever she wanted. Why can't my parents continue paying? Because Emily's spending problem got worse since she left home, and the rest of the family is no longer in the position to give them money. Also, my dad got into a work accident a few months ago, and he was forced to retire, so now their income has significantly reduced. How can someone spend that much? Simple. She renewed her closet, purchased a few expensive cars, and just partied until she dropped. For reference, my parents have high-paying jobs, and Emily's college fund was around $587,000 when I left for college. Did me and my siblings have a college fund? No, we all worked our behinds off to get scholarships so that we could go. And I do have a will in place. If anything happens to me, all of the assets will be split equally between Lisa, Chris, Lola, and an organization fighting for wildlife. FYI, writing these, I'm starting to question if my sister is actually disabled or if it was just what my parents wanted to believe. I mean, if no doctor would declare her disabled, is she really? My family thinks that she's disabled because she didn't learn how to walk until she was 5 and she didn't talk until she was 7. Maybe she was just a slow developer? So, funny story. My favorite uncle called me a couple of hours after I made the post to tell me to block my family because they have come up with a quote-unquote plan to get me to pay. He didn't know what the plan was. He just heard a portion of the conversation between my mom and my aunt. And just like he said, my mom called a few minutes later to tell me that Emily's pregnant, so I need to help her because if I don't, I'm damaging my niece and nephew. I'm crying with how hard I started laughing, and I just told her to F off. I blocked them all. But seriously, a fake pregnancy? Oh my god. So guys, what did you think about this? Please let me know in the comments down below. I personally am appalled at the sister. Like what? She blew through $500,000 in less than 4 months? Or in about 4 months? It doesn't even matter. Like what? Who does that? How crazy and irresponsible do you have to be in order to do that? Also, why on earth did she have unlimited access to her college funds? And what on earth are the parents thinking? Like, I understand OP has some money, but it's her money and she should decide to do with it whatever she wants. The parents should have absolutely no say in it, especially when they've been such horrible parents to begin with. Oh my god, the level of entitlement in the story really pisses me off. Like, I can't. And also, a slight side tangent. You don't know how many times I tried to say that. Anyways, like, what on earth is wrong with the grandparents? Like, ugh. And based on OP's story, I do understand that the sister might have had some issues developing in the beginning, but no doctor refused to sign off on her disability. So how delusional do you have to be to still hold on to that hope? So as a parent, you favor one of the kids, at least be outright about that and accept it. It's so frustrating. I absolutely hate it. Anyways, what did you guys think? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you did like the story, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a thumbs up. And please subscribe if you'd like to hear more stories from Reddit with updates.